Hello everyone, this is Joanna. Thank you so much for coming back. These are going to be your messages for the month of August. I am doing them very differently than I have done them up until this point, so they will resemble more of the mid-July reading, where most of my information will be channeled. I'm not using any traditional tarot cards. I'm using only one card from John Holland's deck and one card for food for thought from Colette Reed's. Everything else is this deck here, which I didn't study, so I just look at pictures and then I hear what I'm to say. Of course, for more long-term projections, there are a lot of videos that I published not that long ago. That information is down below. So there is a 6-month video for each sign on Vimeo from July until the end of the year, and of course there is the Uranus 7-year projection, which has a much longer projection to show you what to expect over the next 7 years. So that information is down below. Of course, these are general readings, so they will not apply to everybody. Listen to your other signs. These may offer you greater picture, and more than anything, thank you so much for liking, for sharing, for subscribing, for private sessions. That information is down below. Thank you so much once again. Please do comment. I love hearing your comments. And without further ado, let's start off with the readings. Hello, beautiful Geminis. This is going to be your messages. These are going to be your messages for the month of August. The way I'm doing them this time is very different, so I'm doing much more channeling. I'm not using traditional cards except for one. Actually, that's not even traditional. So let's see how it goes. Let me tune in first. The words that I'm hearing is the words oppression, and then I'm being shown holding myself back and holding my heart. Many of you have been dealing with an emotion under the umbrella of oppression. This may be something that you feel internally that comes from some situation in your past where you have felt oppressed. Whatever that has been, whatever that was, has manifested in a way that keeps you continually bouncing off the walls. It's almost like, why is it bouncing off the walls? I feel like I am at the mercy of the world outside of me, and I don't feel as much in control. So if this has been the case for some of you, and I'm hearing that it's worth noting that many of you have repeated this over many lifetimes. I don't often get into this kind of stuff in general messages, but it is being asked of me to say this because it is very significant to some of you, and it has to do with your own strength, with your own power, with your own sense of who you are and how resilient you are to life. So there's a word of oppression that is coming forward. I feel many of you are going to leave this behind. Some of you come from a very rough patch in your past where things were very complicated. And obviously that is a very general message, but you will understand this if you're meant to hear this. I also feel like you feel like someone took your voice away, and that has resulted in you feeling very small. So if this is something that has transpired in your life, I'm getting a little bit emotional. I feel that the month of August is going to allow you to have a light bulb moment or an epiphany of some sort that will release you from being still attached to your past. Now, we all have attachments, every single human being. Without attachments, our ego wouldn't know what the hell to do. Some of the attachments are unfortunately not very healthy. However, they have had a certain function in our life in order to help us realize something about ourselves. And it generally is not a very comfortable thing to go through, but it is always one that can bring a lot of safety and stability internally if one allows themselves to see it that way. So it's a very interesting way they're speaking to us today. Let go of the past. I feel that in the month of August, you will either reach the top where you will be able to see things very, very clearly from a much higher perspective, and or something will manifest in your life where you will be able to overcome something that has been holding you back for a very, very long time for some of you. And I'm getting choked up. So this is not comfortable stuff that I'm talking about. Mind you, oppression is not something that will be comfortable. The card that represents the theme is trapped in fear. Now, this isn't because you will be trapped in fear in the month of August. It is because there is a way for you to get out of being trapped in fear and release. So a tremendous opportunity. Again, the light bulb moment is being shown to me, which always to me represents enlightenment. I do feel that month of August is a bit of a bumpy road for all of us, energetically speaking. This is the second time they're showing this to me. And it has to do something with the alignments of stars, planets. I don't know if Saturn is involved, but I just heard the word Saturn. For those of you who know me, I have no knowledge of astrology, so what I say comes purely from spirit, and I actually don't know if it's correct. But whatever the bumpiness is in August, it's not just for you. It seems to be for every sign. So we're all going through it. But tremendous opportunity to release yourself from your past. Now, two cards that represent what you are leaving behind or what you need to leave behind. These cards won't mean anything to you, but I will show them to you. One is initiation and ceremony, and one is called seeing the one. So I will tell you what I feel from these. Some of you need to let go. So this is what you need to leave behind. Seeing yourself from a perspective that holds you back, not only emotionally, but overall. Letting go of seeing yourself as a prisoner is also very important. So if you see yourself as someone small, if you've been oppressed, chances are that is the case. Now, it is not a logical thought. It is almost always not a conscious thought. It is something that's deeply, deeply wired in our belief system. Chances are, though, that if you go back in your life and you see certain situations that seem to be very familiar, they will have a certain emotional component attached to it. That emotional component, when repeated over time, can tell you what you are dealing with, or what you are holding back, or what you are holding yourself back from. And certainly if you have been oppressed in some whatever way, you may see yourself as someone very small. I also feel like some of you need to release some knot here. So this is about the way you express yourself, the way it could be singing, this could be your voice, this could be speaking out, this could be just being more out there and allowing others to hear your voice. Now, this is either really hear your voice because you're a singer, you're a comedian, you're a speaker, or hear your voice as in hear your truth. So there's something that is really important for you to leave behind in order for that to happen. The initiation and ceremony. It's interesting because when I look at this card, there are so many different things that I see. Number one, I see I forget what's I don't know if it's the correct pronunciation, but I see a chrysalis. That's where the butterfly is in a little pouch, or whatever you call it, before it's about to emerge. You are about to spread your wings and fly. And in order for you to do that, you have to let go of your past in order to bring yourself some internal peace. And I just got shivers all over me when I said this. I also hear, don't forget about your vulnerability. It's very important. Some of you are holding yourself back, and I'm being taken to the solar plexus. So that's your power, that's your intuition often, that's creativity. because you don't want to be seen as, you don't want to be in a position of being vulnerable. So you might be a singer and you're afraid to make a fool of yourself, so you don't sing. You might be someone who's very creative, but you're afraid you might not be valued, and you hold yourself back. There's other examples that I could give, but the point is, release yourself from something that has been holding you back and eating at you. And for some of you, this will be a manifestation of some internal struggles. You may have issues with your gut, with your colon, with your stomach, with your digestion, because that's being shown to me. The other thing that I'm seeing here is the idea of freedom. Actually, the symbol of Statue of Liberty comes to me. And when I tap into this, number one, healing. Number two, listening to your intuition. Number three, not being afraid to voice your opinion. And number four, always standing for your own truth. Not somebody else's truth, but your own truth. A lot of healing in that area. The other thing I want to say is nurture. Nurturing your body, which is through nutrition, but also nurturing your emotions. Very, very important. How does one nurture their emotions? By allowing yourself to feel. So if you, and the next card is actually very interesting. If we don't feel, or if we don't allow ourselves to feel because it's too comfortable, so we take everything up to the logic and we try to figure things out, mentally speaking, oftentimes it leaves us empty in the long run. Why? Because we're not tapping into the emotion that is needing to be satisfied. So we're trying to only do things with our head. So there's a need here to honor your emotions, allow yourself to feel your emotions. Feeling is not the problem. Well, it may be uncomfortable, but that's not really the problem. The problem is what we do with it. What are actions that are connected to that emotions? So nurture yourself, nurture your soul. Inner harmony, hugely, hugely important. And inner harmony can only come from acceptance. And it is also about balancing the mind and the heart, the mind, the intellect and the spirit, however you want to call it, the yin and yang, whatever you want to call it. But there's a need here to self-nurture, very important. You have the card of new consciousness. Well, and 5 and 4 incidentally comes to a 9, which is letting go. I want to say, in a spiritual aspect, this is about you shifting to a new dimension. What do I mean by this? You are choosing to live your life based on your newly developed ideas about you. And as a consequence, or as a result of that, you will start manifesting whatever it is that you are planting seeds in. So you are literally shifting. We are all shifting. A lot of this will be how you manifest things in a physical way, in a physical manifestation. So, example. For example, if you have been oppressed most of your life, you probably do not feel very strong and self-secure within yourself. When you don't feel very safe and secure within yourself, chances are you will be attracting situations like relationships and jobs that make you feel that way too. And because your idea of life will be based on the notion that life is not safe and secure, whatever you're trying, whatever you are desiring to attain, a new job, a new car, a beautiful relationship, a solid foundation, it will elude you because your belief is not aligned with the very thing you are trying to achieve. So as you let go of seeing yourself in a certain way, and as you learn how to nurture your body and your soul and your mind, you will shift eventually to a new idea of yourself. You will start developing a different way of seeing yourself as an individual, which will also attract different things to you. Because what you attract is what you see, what you believe is you attract. You have the card of rejecting emotion. I thought, very interesting, because that's what we talked about earlier. So for many of you, your foundation of as a human being is very logical. So you may be very logically oriented, you may be very mentally oriented, and again, when we develop our analytical system to a certain extent, well, number one, it is very useful because if you are, for example, in a job as a mechanic, then you need to be very logical. However, when it is out of balance and we reject emotions in favor of our mind, again, oftentimes we end up feeling very empty. So some of you, and I would suspect this is going to be most of you, need to pay close attention to your emotions, because then you will be able to understand what truly drives you. I always say, when we want to attain something, it is because it makes us feel a certain way. So what we are really after is a feeling or an emotion. If we want a great job, it's because we want to feel valued, we want to feel stable, we want to feel secure, we want to feel accomplished. All those things are feelings. The only way you would know that you are accomplished is because you feel it. You have feedback, or you don't have feedback, but you feel it. So if we reject our feelings, we're kind of holding ourselves back in many ways, because the logic can only understand things from a certain situation, from a certain point of view, and the logic is based on a mechanics of how things work. But if you're missing an emotion, you're not getting the whole picture. So for some of you, it's important to accept your emotions, not to live with it or in it, but to accept it, because acceptance of it allows you to move on. So living in an emotion versus allowing yourself to feel it and not denying it, those are two different things. Food for thought you have by the book in protection. So this is about you creating your own story. This is about uprooting the proverbial status quo and choosing to not let your past affect you. Now, if we have something positive in our past that affects us, of course I wouldn't tell you not to do that. But generally speaking, we're talking about things that hold us back. And a lot of this comes from our environment. For some of you, you have had a high need to please. And that pleasing quality came from an extraordinary effort that you had to exert at some point in your life in order to get attention. It is time for you to release yourself from that, because you're moving on to something bigger and better. Remember, you are moving on and releasing, being in your own mental prison. And you all know this. I don't have to say it, but I will. What your mind creates, the world will bring to you. In other words, what you create in your mind, what your mind is capable of creating, you will attract. Basic law of attraction, I don't really care for the word, but you understand what this means. So there's a message here of not letting the past dictate you and not following in other people's footsteps if that is what no longer serves you. Sometimes we need to path our own way, and actually oftentimes we need to pave our own way. But remember, we are moving to a higher vibration, to a new consciousness. Those before us had a certain consciousness level, and we are shifting. And as we shift, we need to let go of something that we once thought was important, whether it be a person that's holding you back, whether it be a situation that has kept you stuck, whether it be a set of circumstances, people who exist or don't exist anymore in a physical realm, or feelings and emotions that are attached to the past. All those aspects of us, of our lives, create a certain image in our mind of what the world is to us, and based on that we create. So you are being asked to let go of the mindset that no longer serves you, which is basically you moving to new consciousness. Again, the number 9, which is about letting go. Is there anything else? And I'm seeing a beautiful flower, and this flower just opens up in front of me. So I feel like I want to say you are in the process of blooming. And for the flower to bloom, it needs adequate water, adequate sun, adequate rain, adequate soil. It needs adequate conditions. That's where the self-nourishment comes in. In other words, be good to yourself, because when you are good to yourself, by honoring your feelings, by choosing not to keep yourself stuck in the past, by letting go of emotions that no longer serve you through reflection, therapy, whatever you want to choose, whatever you need to do to let go of the past so that you can bloom is being asked of you at this time. And then I want to say, you don't want to repeat this again. So definitely for some of you have gone through this on several occasions, and you don't want to repeat this again. And I think that's all I have. For some of you, October is going to be a phenomenal month. It is going to be a month of completions. So I'm just going to throw that in because it came. And that's all I have. I hope this was helpful. Means nothing to me. Hopefully it'll mean something to you. If not at the beginning of the month, maybe towards the end. And of course, if you would like to comment how this connects with you, I would love to read it. For personal information or personal sessions, you can check that information down below for you. Thank you again so much for watching, sharing, liking, subscribing. I wish you a wonderful month of October. Take care of yourself. Good luck and see you soon. Bye.